Welcome to the Retro Video Store Podcast.
Welcome everyone to the Retro Video Store Podcast. I'm your host Eric.
Hi, Eric.
And that's my co-host Neil.
I'm Neil, and who here had to personally mouth pleasure Elon Musk to keep his job?
Well, I took the fork in the road so I could come back to the fork in the road that led me to this podcast.
Are we I guess we are definitely the road less traveled because we don't have that many.
It didn't take very long to get here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how are you doing, David? It's been a while. It's probably been, like a month and a half or more.
How's the shoulder, more importantly?
Well, so I'm still dealing with frozen shoulder, but I mean, I can move it quite a bit, but the whole thing's moving up with it, rehabbing it. Rehab's going pretty good. I was out working. I got to go swim in the beach in Pensacola and take my mind off of things. And then I drove all the way from where I live to Pensacola and then back for work and listen to all the chaos over the last 5 weeks that is the federal government and Elon Musk.
Yeah, how does it feel to be a federal employee right now?
It's pretty wild. This is my 22nd year as a federal employee, and I think I'm going to frame the fork in the road letter because I don't know if I'll ever see anything like that again.
Oh my God. Crazy. Well, I'm glad you're still employed. And, we kind of need, federal firefighters, the Forest Service. It's kind of important.
We just need some people to rake. We just need some professional rakers, and he's out of a job. It's big giant rakes, all the best rakes.
Yeah. Some mirrors to reflect back the Jewish space lasers.
I know people that rake. A lot of people, the best people that rake, have told me.
So it's almost like you could imagine this being like a scene in a movie. There's where I was at teaching all these firefighters between their average was 1 to 3 years of experience and just out there mentoring. And there was one person that was an alarmist. And then when all this starts really happening, they're checking in to begin their session. And this person's like, run for the hills, like all this chaos. And so now you have all these younger firefighters like, are we losing our jobs? All pan. I'm like, everybody. just like,
hold up.
And you imagine if that was happening in one area of the United States when the federal government was doing this, just firing people left and right. Imagine what the whole thing looked like. It was chaos.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to be
job
back.
Security, just go set some shit on fire. You of all the people would know how to do it without getting caught. And better go take care of that.
I know.
Just please don't do it out here with the Santa Ana winds, because that really fucked stuff up.
It's pretty dry in Colorado too, so avoid Colorado.
See how Eric had to make it all about him? Did you see that, Dave? Did you miss any of that while you were gone?
I listened to a couple of y'all's episodes, but it was honestly, it was just kind of nice to unplug, and I didn't have a lot of cell service or internet service where I was for 5 weeks. And it was nice to just disappear.
You come back and they're like, you've been working for free for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I got sick. So now I've just been sitting I was looking forward to this weekend and been sick the whole weekend. And I'll tell you what I watched when we get there.
All right. Cool. Well, it's good to hear from you, Dave. Glad you're back for this episode.
This great movie, yes.
Yes. Have you ever seen a Gamera movie before?
I've never even heard of him.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
well,
dude,
this week
that's a far sight better than that Godzilla flick we watched, man. That was atrocious. This is a classic compared to that.
Well, we're going to talk about that, how Godzilla ended in 95. They had the last Heisei Godzilla movie, and the Gamera kind of picked up the torch from 95 to 99 and kind of established himself as as a kaiju to be respected. But we'll get that to a little bit. We're doing Gamera, Guardian of the Universe from 1995 for Monster March. And I just realized today that there's going to be 5 monster episodes for Monster March. I thought there was only going to be 4. So next week we're doing Anaconda. And the week after that, we're going to do the Korean giant monster movie, The Host, which is one of the best giant monster movies of all time. It is really, really good.
I would agree. That is a good one.
Yeah, really, really good. So The Host. Good stuff. But
just jump in at any point. Dave, just if you want to say something or just hop on in, bud.
Hey, I've already said more than I usually say in an episode, so now's the time to sit here quietly.
I was going to say, we always talk about what we've watched. And David, since you've been gone for a while, David, what have you watched?
I was going to say, I just quietly sit here and listen to you buffoons talk, and then I just fade off into the background. We'll see. So I watched the Battle of Mogadishu 3-part documentary on Netflix. Yeah, and then in honor of Gene Hackman, I've watched Hoosiers and Runaway. Yep, and Runaway Jury. I thought I'd watch those two. So that's all I've really watched.
It's really sad how that all came about. Like, his wife dies of the hantavirus. He's 95, so I don't know what state of dementia or whatever he's in, and then he dies, and their dog, who was apparently crated, dies as well. So it's really tragic. Really, sad.
How messed up is this that he's got adult kids and he went undiscovered for how long that none of them called?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, Gene, your kids, if any of Gene Hackman's or any of his kids or any of our 4 listeners, fuck yourselves. You're horrible kids. All right. Off the soapbox. That was aggressive. That was a little aggressive. I meant it to be aggressive. Those kids they can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I know my mom and Carl are alive because I I see them on Facebook all the time. So
I get poked by Carl constantly on Facebook. He's like always poking. I'm like, Carl, stop. Enough with the ribs, buddy.
Knock it off.
Yeah, I see it all the time, and I'll send my mom, a text every once in a while, see how she's doing. Yeah, but I would feel like shit if that happened to my parents. So, but Neil, how about you? What did you watch this week?
All right. I was right there with Dave. I was a little bit pissed off when I found out what happened, but I watched Hoosiers, great movie, and then I'd forgotten about The Replacements.
Oh, yes. God damn it.
Watch that. That was a good movie. Funny as hell. The cheerleader tryouts were the fucking epic with the goth girl. Slash them, stab them, make them bleed.
I've actually never seen The Replacements. I'll have to watch it.
You will probably pause when it gets to the goth girl if I know you.
You like me a goth girl.
And then I went to the theater with my lovely bride, and we watched Last Breath. Woody Harrelson, Simu Liu, and the other actor I don't know. I'd never really seen him in anything.
How was it?
It was good. It wasn't. I mean, my wife had criticisms, but it's about these guys. I guess it's an actual true story. They were saturation divers, and one of them ran out of air. And you should watch it. It's very slow.
Good.
It's very slow paced. Mm-hmm. It's a disaster kind of thing, and you know how it's gonna turn out. They wouldn't have made a movie if everybody fucking died.
Yeah,
but it's a good flick. Dave, what was up, man?
Neil, and Eric, you've seen Hoosiers too, I'm sure, right?
Oh, obviously, yeah.
So maybe we can agree on this, that maybe the worst part of Hoosiers, and I think it goes down in history as the most awkward screen kiss of all time, is when Gene Hackman and Barbara Hershey kiss for the first time, when he grabs her shoulders, and they have that first kiss. Every time I watch that, I'm like, oh fuck.
He kind of stiff lips her.
They could have redone that one. The director could be like, whoa, let's do a retake.
I like what I see. Print that.
She was afraid of that Hackman mustache coming at her. She couldn't take the power contained in that Hackman mustache.
Nobody could quite portray anger like Gene Hackman. If he was pissed off or yelling or something like that, you were like, shit. There was something about his delivery where he could be intimidating, but also powerful. Just he had that presence about him.
Yeah.
Mississippi Burning.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when he holds Michael Rooker's balls and he's like, that he's he goes in.
He's the shit out of Willem Dafoe in that movie too.
Yeah, and Brad Dourif, he was just pushing people around left and right.
And I didn't realize. So I watched Runaway Jury. That was his last movie. I think 2004. You remember that
really?
one at all? When they
I didn't realize it was the last one.
Yeah, when you had that finally, like you got to see, because you think about scenes where you had the Sicilian scene in whatever True Romance, right?
Yep.
We finally get these actors together that you've been waiting for a while. And I know that, and I'm having a brain fart right now, but the other guy in the movie and Gene Hackman, people were waiting for a while to get those two together. Dustin Hoffman
Mm-hmm.
and Gene Hackman finally had a scene together, and it was short, but I think they nailed it. And yeah, he was a good actor, and I always enjoyed his movies.
It's kind of like the scene in Heat between De Niro and Pacino. You're just waiting for these two guys to cross paths and emote against each other.
The French Connection.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Yep. Crimson Tide.
Yep, amazing.
And that was Denzel. He was in that movie with, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, when Denzel's in a movie, he's on screen. He's the only one there. He could be in a room full of people, so that held up really well. But let's not forget his finest role as Lex Luthor.
I was going to say Lex Luthor. He was great as Lex Luthor in the
finest role.
Yeah.
If I hadn't been out, I'd pour some of this Diet Coke out for Gene.
Well, and he was in Royal Tenenbaums with that was a great cast in Royal Tenenbaums, and I just remember he gets stabbed or he gets shanked by Pagoda, his assistant, by a very small knife, and he's like, "God damn, Pagoda, that's the last time you shanked me." Just classic how he fell on the suitcase and Pagoda helps him up after he shakes him.
I have not seen all of that movie. Not seen it in its entirety. Something always gets in the way when I put it on. Like there's an emergency or something happens. It's jinxed.
I'm not a huge Wes Anderson fan. I think, I don't know. Just
that's weird because I've talked to Wes Anderson and he's not a huge fan of you either.
Yeah, because I'm not wearing like a vintage sweater. I have like, the color schemes. He insists upon himself. God damn it. No, he's fine. I'm not his primary demographic because there's not a giant turtle stomping through the movie. Yeah.
Eric, what did you watch?
Thank you, David, for bailing me out.
Yeah, way to go.
I heard the awkward silence on the last episode, so I wanted to make sure.
I was having so much fun with those.
I watched quite a bit. The other day I watched Face Off. I fell asleep for like 30 minutes during it, but then I watched the best part at the end of the movie. That movie it's just, the overacting is just chef's kiss with the overacting. It's so bad. The hair pieces that both Travolta and Cage wear are just awful. I love that you can see the stuntmen all the time when there's explosions and people are flying and stuff like that and wires and stuff. But it's such a perfectly awful entertaining movement. So go back and listen to our episode on Face Off if you have not listened to it. But yeah, it is so bad. It is good. And just chewing the scenery between both Travolta and Cage in that one. And I'm going to say Joan Allen, low-key hot in that movie. Low-key.
Low-key?
Yeah,
low-key. Low-key.
Also, Final Destination has been on HBO all the time. And I have caught Final Destination 3 at least 3 times in the past 2 weeks, including last night. And Final Destination 2 was right before it. So we've got to do Final Destination 2 and 3 like pretty soon because those are the two best.
The Rube Goldberg of death. Like,
yeah,
what's
2 and 3 are just the
best.
This. They kind of fall off after that one, but everybody remembers the log.
Yep.
I will
not drive behind a truck with pipes or logs on it for that
one
very
has
reason.
affected people forever. Yes. That they are also so entertaining. Everybody's an asshole. You don't like anybody, so you're just waiting for them to die. That is the formula for a Final Destination movie. But David, you got to be psyched too. March Madness is coming up.
I'm so psyched. Yeah, I'm ready.
The conference tournaments start this week.
Yep. I'm excited.
Sweet, sweet basketball.
Oh yeah, best time of the year.
Mm-hmm. Get your brackets out. Pick some teams.
Yep.
Duke looked good last night.
Goddamn right they did.
Yeah, against North Carolina, their major rival. All right, that's
Yeah.
our sports moment.
Sorry,
Sports
yeah.
minute.
Yeah, sports.
We should.
Sports in a Minute, brought to you with Eric and Dave for the least amount of time spent in sports on the podcast.
I need to get one of those air horns.
Yeah.
All right,
I do
Dave.
wanna
Let's talk
say-
about sports.
I do want to say this real quick. So I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about the Duke Carolina, and they're a Carolina fan, and they said, "Man, they're playing good. They're peaking at the right time." And I said, "Yeah, hopefully they can carry that momentum into the NIT."
Hmm?
Yeah.
We'll
Eric, you
see.
get that joke.
They're a
You
bubble.
get-
They're a bubble team. They'll probably get in just because they're North Carolina. So we'll see.
No, they're not.
How about the Lobos, man? UNM Lobos.
Mountain West
Mountain
champs.
West
They're in.
champions. Yep.
They're in.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about some fan mail. We got fan
Well,
mail.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So fan mail.
Yeah.
It's nice to actually have some fan mail lately.
Do you want me to read it or do you want to read it?
No, go for it.
All right. So it's from Defias Malik.
Mhm.
Defias. I'm guessing here. It is a unique first name. It's kind of badass.
Defias is kind of a cool name.
It is. Yeah, we got a
Or is it-
lol.
Or is
You
it
guys
Malik Defias? I don't know.
Well, Malik, Malak.
We'll just sing his name over and over. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Malik. Where the hell did you get Malik? There's 2 A's. All right. I'm sorry. We went to
You're
public
right.
school. This is hard. LOL. You guys are hilarious. Speaking of the nostalgic candy and drinks you guys came out with, Return of the King. I know you guys, well, I'm a little older, but you do remember the banana flips. Those things were phenomenal. And I can't get good stuff like that anymore. And the moon pie, you probably haven't seen, is the banana flavor.
I have seen the banana flavor.
I've seen it, but I would disregard it heavily. I love growing up in the 79, 80s, good old wholesome TV shows. Welcome Back, Cotter. Mr. Cotter. He would always tell that joke at the end. Fish. I'm guessing when he says fish, I'm thinking he means Barney Miller. Because
Well, Fish had his own
that.
TV show for a tiny bit.
Oh, he did?
It was a spin-off from Barney Miller, yeah.
I love Barney Miller.
And
Barney
go
Miller.
to
Yeah. WKRP in Cincinnati. All right. I want to test if he is a true fan because he'll understand this reference. Booga. All right. If you're a true fan of WKRP in Cincinnati, you know what that was. And MASH. Of course, I am sure we all grew up with. Hey, tell Dave, this is for you. He wants us to tell him, but we're going to read his words directly here, Dave. You could always do hand lotion commercials. You may be an expert at it by now.
Wow, shots fired at Dave.
Shots fired.
Did you get your lotion?
I hope all is well with everyone over there. Great show. I've shared it with many other people, so there can't be just 4 listeners. Haha. You know what? Defias, fuck you. Don't tell us how many listeners we have. Okay, we have 4.
We have 4.
Yeah, I kind of ramble on. That's just the way I am. I'm old. Did a story going sometimes. Punctuation sucks. Grandma sucks. It's all right.
Theme
Pick up-
grammar.
Oh, grammar sucks. Yeah. Keep up. Oh, yeah. So probably he meant keep up the great work. Keep up the great work. And thanks for saving me time and money at the movies for things that suck. And there seems to be a lot of that this year so far.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Listener to
Defias.
Defias, we appreciate it.
I wonder where he's listening out of.
Yeah.
What general geographic region?
So now let's talk about Gamera, Guardian of the Universe from 1995. For those people who are not familiar with Gamera, Gamera is like if Godzilla is the Coca-Cola of Kaiju, Gamera was always seen as like the RC Cola of Kaiju. Not even Pepsi. He was more of the RC Cola of Kaiju back in the day.
Godzilla is Amazon.
Yes.
Yes. Gamera is Temu.
Yes. He was always the Temu of Kaiju. But in 1995, he had a 3-movie run where he had some pretty legitimately badass movies, Gamera, Guardian of the Universe being one of them. And Neil, you can back me up on this. Do you ever remember a TV show called Family Film Festival? It was on I think it was on KTLA, where a guy named Tom Hatton would host
Yes, but
movies that were for families.
I watched it at your house, though.
Yeah, and they would.
I didn't have cable. You keep bringing it up.
But they would show Godzilla movies, and they would show Pippi Longstocking. They would show Monsters Go Home. They would show, all the kind of obscure movies as a kid that were a lot of fun. Mad Monster Party. just fun stuff that the Last Unicorn, keep thinking of the stuff they would show, but they would show that kind of stuff. And I remember seeing Gamera, and there was a Gamera movie, and I had to remember which one it was. But the distinct thing I remember of it was that there was a little monster egg inside Gamera, and these two kids were in a submarine and had to navigate through Gamera to kill the egg. And that always stuck with me as a kid because I thought it was pretty badass because the monster was inside of him, like the egg. And it was Gamera versus Jiger, Jiger.
Careful how you pronounce that.
I know, but it was very memorable to me as a kid, and that came out in 1970. So the original Gamera the Giant Monster, came out in 1965, and it was Daiei Studios as a Japanese studio. And I know Neil knows what Daiei has done before because they've done lots of Zatoichi movies.
Oh God!
So that Daiei symbol is in front of all the Zatoichi films. But they came out in 1965 as a direct, we're going to capitalize on Godzilla's success and we're going to make our own kaiju movie. And it was pretty successful, but Daiei was a poorly run company and they kept spending less and less money on Gamera movies, and it showed. They were really, really bad. So bad that Mystery Science Theater 3000 did 5 Gamera movies during their run. That's how bad they were. So Gamera has 2 different distinct eras. The Showa era, exactly kind of like Godzilla has a Showa era, and the Heisei era. Heisei Gamera was from 1995 to 2006. Gamera Guardian of the Universe. Gamera 2 Attack of Legion, which is the sequel to the one we're talking about, which is really, really good. And Gamera 3 Revenge of Iris. Also very, very good. The whole trilogy is really good. Gamera gets distinctly meaner as the movies progress. He's guardian of the planet, but the people just happen to be like insects on the planet to him. By the end, all the people are dying. At one point, 20,000 humans die when he's trying to attack a Gauss in the middle of Japan. And it's kind of borders on bad guy. And then after that series, there was a 2006 movie called Gamera the Brave, which I own on Blu-ray, but is very kid-like. Gamera looks like a big Pokemon, like a Squirtle or something like that. It's very, very kid-oriented, which Gamera was considered friend to all children in the 1960s. So he was very distinctly a kids movie, a kids show in Japan. And David, you have never seen a Gamera movie.
No, and right now I'm watching him bomb the shit out of him. So if he's a friend to all children, they're trying to kill him.
Yeah, well, that is the trope of almost every Japanese monster movie, is that they see that all monsters are threats and they always attack the wrong one and let the other one kind of thrive because they always attack the wrong one. And Neil, I'm sure you've probably seen at least a little bit of a Gamera movie back in the day.
Yeah, I just had not remembered. It just kind of, all the kaiju kind of blend in. I didn't have like the specific like Rain Man-esque knowledge you have of all the of all the kaiju films. But once it came back on, I'm like, okay, I remember this now. Just really specific drive-in memories of these. Really specific drive-in memories of these.
Yeah, this is something you would see at the Tota or the Allen for kids movies.
Do you remember seeing Ultraman?
Oh yeah,
at the drive-in.
The one that I remember distinctly that I love so much is Inframan. And
yes.
That's a Hong Kong tokusatsu movie. And it is so good, where Inframan is fighting Princess Dragon Mom. And it's one of the greatest movies of of all time. We should see if it's available to watch, because that would be one to do. Is Inframan?
His outfit, Inframan's outfit was badass.
Yeah.
He looks like, what was the one with the dude on the motorcycle, the more modern?
Kamen Rider.
Kamen Rider, yeah, because it looks like Kamen Rider just ripped him off.
Yeah. I love me a tokusatsu, the Japanese action movie. And then there's the kaiju movies. And then there's, what's the Japanese name for like Power Ranger movies or Power Ranger TV shows? It's like Henshin or something like that.
I don't know. That's, again, going in a little farther than I probably know. I'm trying to find Inframan. Come on, just let me think, Eric.
Yeah. Henshin refers to basically heroes that metamorphosize, that change into something. Yeah, but that's definitely a common writer. Means transformation or transform. To transform or to equip. So Henshin is a lot of those kind of TV shows. Ultraman, Inframan, Power Rangers, Battle of the Planets, Gotcha Man, all that kind of stuff that we grew up on and enjoyed as kids. David, I know you were exposed to Godzilla movies as a youth, but did not see any Gamera. What's your first opinion of Gamera?
I mean, he's a turtle. So I guess I find that interesting. But I will say the quality of this movie isn't bad, and it's entertaining. But kind of seems like it follows the same storyline of a monster comes to protect from other monsters, and some little kid has a connection with the monster.
Yeah, there's always a psychic connection between some kid, whether it's a young kid or a Japanese schoolgirl.
Yeah, but going off of what you said earlier about I think the first 5 were covered on whatever show that was. But
Mystery
I read somewhere
Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, I read somewhere that the Gamera trilogy, this one that we're watching now, right? That we're talking about. This trilogy was actually better than any of the Godzilla trilogies, is what somebody was saying.
Up to that point, yes. I don't think it's better than Godzilla versus Destroya or the original Godzilla or thing like that. But up to that point, some of the 90s output wasn't great. Like we watched Godzilla versus Biollante, which is boring, but the suits look really good and stuff like that. But this one was way more exciting. The pace kept going. There was a lot more momentum to the story. The suits look really, really good, except for the googly eyes on the Gauss when they're small. But it mixed a good bit of CGI when Gamera shoots his fireballs and stuff out of his mouth. That it's just enough to mix well with the giant guy in suit and miniatures and stuff like that. I love when they put the miniatures. I just
can't wait. I can't wait. You see the shift, and you see the miniatures, and you're like, let's go. Yeah, all this is getting blown up. I want to see it. So Inframan, you remember that website I sent you, the Japanese Spider-Man stuff? Archive.org. It's on archive.org. It was a Shaw Brothers studio.
Yes.
Could be why.
Mm-hmm. That's why it was amazing, because it was a Hong Kong interpretation of a Japanese kind of superhero show. But Inframan is amazing. He could shoot his fists off and extend them out. He had like a bionic kick, and he was fighting monsters everywhere. I just remember that distinctly as a kid, and I loved it. Even Roger Ebert loved Inframan. He even said that sometimes he thinks he thought about Inframan more than other movies that were good movies. So, yeah. So big ups to Roger Ebert for liking Inframan. So we have talked about Shusuke Kaneko, who is the director of this movie, because we did Godzilla Giant Monsters All Out Attack last year. And if you look at his filmography, just put your mouse over Koichiro Uno's Wet and Swinging and let me know what you see.
All right, well, let me open that up.
And there's Mina H. Chow and Last Cabaret, Summer Vacation 1999. He did some softcore Japanese movies.
Koichiro Uno's Wet and Swinging. Yeah, yes. I can. Yeah. So he makes a lot of the dirty movies.
Yes,
he makes the dirty movies, and then
he did.
And then this.
Yes. Well, it's funny. There was a horror movie anthology called Necronomicon, and I remember seeing the box. I had never rented it. I probably should see it now. But Brian Yunza directed some of it, and he did like Society and From Beyond and stuff like that. So it might be pretty good. But he did a little section there, and they're like, "Hey, maybe he could do Gamera, Guardian of the Universe," and he did.
So let this pervert direct this monster movie.
Yeah, I do love the Yeah, I was looking through that. I was like, whoa, nudity on Wikipedia. Naked Japanese lady with a tennis racket. But he did Death Note movies in Japan. A movie called Danger Dolls, which looks interesting. And the writer of the story, Kazunori Ito. Sorry, I'm.
You did okay, Kazunori Ito. You did it fine.
Okay. He did a movie called Creamy Mommy, the Magical Angel. The Magic Angel is a magical girl anime television series produced by Studio Pierrot, which aired from 1983 to 1984. Then he did a movie called Dirty Pair, which is a looks like very scantily clad girls with lightsabers.
David knows. I just put the link down if you want to stream that movie, where to find it.
Magical Creamy Angel Mommy?
No.
or the other one with the tennis racket.
Koichiro Uno's Wet and Swinging. So
Yeah.
I put the link down for you.
Thanks. I'll get my lotion. And
That's right.
Yeah, I'll log off and grab my bottle of lotion, go check this out.
He did do Pat Labor 2. Excuse me, goodness. But he also wrote Ghost in the Shell, one of the most influential anime movies of all time. And that one really sticks out. And he did a lot of other dot hack movies, but he was responsible for writing Gamera Guardian of the Universe, Attack of Legion, and Revenge of Iris. It's getting pretty nerdy in here.
Just noticed.
Yeah. Just keep going, man. This is your arena.
Just go. Live your best life, Eric.
So, Ayako Fujitani plays Asagi Kusanagi, who is the girl who has the psychic connection with Gamera.
You want to know the problem I have with her?
She's Steven Seagal's daughter.
Yes. That fat, foundering, flaky, no martial arts piece of shit.
It's not her fault. He's her dad, but,
Yeah, well, she used to go by Seagal, and now she does not.
Probably tells a lot.
Yeah.
So I liked the cast pretty well. They did a pretty good job. It's like David talked about. There are certain things that you need to see in a debut creature. Like this is kind of like the reboot of Gamera, and there's a psychic connection, mistaking him as the bad guy, him hiding for the first 30 minutes, thinking it's something else. You want to hit us with a critical consensus, Neil?
You didn't want to read through the cast?
I'm butchering the pronunciation as it is. So
I was really looking forward to that. Gamera Guardian of the Universe received generally positive reviews from critics, with 2 out of the 3 reviews listed for the film on Rotten Tomatoes as being favorable. Peter H. Gilmore of MonsterZero.us said, "All in all, this is a vibrant and energetic film. The monster battles are full of physical grappling as well as energy weapons exchanges, and the excellent suitmation is well augmented by judiciously used CGI. Popcorn Pictures said, "This is just a great, fun kaiju film. Gamera finally has a film to rival Godzilla, and he's still second best to the Big G, though, and rid the infamous legacy that has dogged him throughout his motion picture life." David Miller of Cult Movies praised the film's special effects, calling the film one of the best of the giant monster films. Steve Bydrowski of Cinema Fantastique praised the film's money shot moments. Go to that link I sent you and you'll have more of those. Also supplying the necessary oomph to push this over from being merely diverting to being outright exhilarating. The New York Daily News praised the film's action sequences, stating that the giant monster movie fans seeking a big screen treat will find it here. Roger Ebert gave the film 3 stars out of 4, saying that despite its flaws, Gamera is more fun than mega-budget solemnity like Air Force One, and that Gamera is not a good movie, but it is a good movie-going experience. That is a hell of a way to sum this film up.
Yeah.
And it's true. I mean, it's fun. It's exactly what you want out of a giant monster movie. You get giant monsters, you get them fighting, you get you see them in different forms at the beginning. The villain always changes final form at the end of the movie. It's a lot of fun. The thing that's interesting is you see a Toho logo. Toho Pictures famously produced all the Godzilla movies, co-produced this movie because Daiei Films was pretty much in name only a movie studio.
Yeah, that one threw me off when I saw that.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny to see, Godzilla's studio rival with the Toho banner. And everybody always wants to see, and me included, a Godzilla versus Gamera movie. I would really love to see that. And now that Toho is sort of, over it, I'd love to see it too, because everybody wants to, who's better, Godzilla or Gamera? Godzilla, obviously, but Gamera's pretty cool, cool too.
Well, I've got opinions on this.
All right,
I have opinions. So, advanced civilization, something's going on. They create the perfect creature, which has perfect chromosomes. It can reproduce by itself, and they're thinking to themselves, "Guys, we're fucked. We need to find something to save us." Is that a turtle? Anybody see that turtle over there? I think who could really fuck stuff up if we did some shit to this turtle. Give it some little claws. Rawr,
yeah.
Had it
Great
stand
job,
up its little shell. That'd be great.
Yeah, it's doesn't make sense, but hey, you got to suspend some belief when you're watching a movie about a giant turtle that has rockets in its shell.
Oh, it's got ass rockets.
Yes.
We've all been there.
Like most kaiju movies, it always begins with a ship in trouble. This one was like hauling plutonium or something, and then gets caught up on the atoll, which is not an atoll. It is Gamera. Gamera. Yeah. I love the title. I love the title sequences on these movies. They just pop out. They look really cool. Then we get a mysterious attack, and we don't know what it is until we find out there's this gigantic bird pellets.
Who did it better, her or Jeff or oh my
Lord
God.
Dern?
Laura Dern, thank you. Who did it better?
I'd say Lord Dern because it came out 2 years before this one. That was gross. It looked like sausage gravy to me.
What kind of sausage gravy you eat that's that white?
That's what the closest thing I could compare it to.
Okay. You're not coming over and having biscuits and sausage gravy at my house then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The mysterious creature also kills a dog with impunity.
That's the holy grail. That's the sacred of sacred in movies. Is you don't take the dog and with no chill, just gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no chill.
That lost my wife. She was sitting down. She's like willing to watch it. She goes, "Not the puppy." And bam, takes the dog. My wife's like, "Fucking not watching this movie."
It always freaks me out when people have such a hard line when it comes to a dog dying in a movie. You're like, it's a movie, They didn't really kill the dog. Yeah.
I did hear a funny
with cats with no impunity.
I did hear a funny thing about Milo and Otis when they were shooting the scene of the cat flying off the cliff. They couldn't get the right shot, so they just kept throwing cats over the cliff.
Yeah, that movie was like insanely violent towards the animals. There was no Humane Society protection logo at the end of that movie. They were crazy. There was another movie recently where it's about a dog's journey or some shit like that, where they were putting animals unnecessarily in trouble too. There was a controversy about that one, but yeah, back in the day, like if you watch, like even Conan the Barbarian, those horses were taking some serious.
Yeah,
they were trained,
they were dumped.
Yeah, they were trained horses, but they were taking some serious falls. The ferrets in
Podo and Podo.
Beastmaster, yeah. They were probably, they probably had a big bin of ferrets. Like, we need more ferrets. This one's not working anymore. Shaking it and then throw it away. Go to the pet store. Get us more ferrets. I like the way the Gauss look. except for their googly eyes. When they're tiny, they have these really, really googly looking eyes.
Yeah, this was a very eye-oriented monster movie. They really took some effort with the eyeballs. They're moving around and blinking and shit, and they really took their time. Where Godzilla just basically looks like he's on fentanyl. His eyes are just
well, in Godzilla 1980, The Return of Godzilla, he looks really like stoned, and the whites of his eyes are way too big. It just doesn't look right, and one eye is kind of off one way, and the other one's kind of.
Godzilla had amblyopia. They tried to patch. They tried to patch his eye to get the other one stronger. It didn't work. All the other kaiju made fun of him. That's why he's so bitter. It's a story of him dealing. It's a story of him dealing with that childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Bum 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 bum.
So they figured out you can startle the Gauss with a flash, but they're basically birds, and they want to capture them for the Japanese government's like, hey, these are important species. Let's capture these.
What a kick-ass job it would have been to be the dude with his hand inside the Gauss thing, like I'm gonna make this thing emote. I'm gonna make some cinema here.
Yeah. And then they are basically on top of Gamera, which is the atoll. And there's these weird comma-shaped runes. And once you see those runes, they're going to come into play, especially when the girl gets one and it starts glowing, and she's going to have the psychic connection with Gamera. I would love to be in Japan to see some Kaiju news. Like they have like the Kaiju News Network. And everybody, Gamera's shown up. And I've always wanted to be in a crowd shot too, running away. That'd be amazing. All the crowd shots of people see Gamera in the background.
What that gook is under Gamera's claws, right? That's the slow children that he's no longer friends with.
I love the bureaucracy that is always portrayed in these movies, where they always have to convene some sort of government subcommittee. And they have to like submit a bill to actually be able to fire offensively against the monster. In Shin Godzilla, that's basically what the whole movie is about: is subcommittees and red tape and all the stuff that how the government would act if there was legitimately a kaiju attack. But, yeah.
Ineffectively.
Yes, very ineffectively. I like the use of the heat breath when the Gauss cut through their cages in the stadium, and then you see Gamera outside the stadium for the first time, looking kick-ass, looking way better than he did in the 60s. If you look at a picture of 60s Gamera, he looks pathetic. It's kind of sad, especially when he's flipping on like a parallel bar. Have you seen that? I think David sent us a GIF of him,
Yeah, that was the one he sent. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, when you said we're watching this, so that's the first thing I saw, and I thought, you got to be kidding me. God damn it.
This is the best version of that. They kind of give Gamera a little bit more backstory. We talked about the whole Atlantis angle, and the government, of course, treats Gamera as a threat, but he saves a kid on the bridge, and you're like, hey, maybe he's good.
He stops, looks, because she's got a comma. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
She has a comma. He can withstand all these blasts. He's got this big shell that a ship will run onto, but with a shovel and a little determination, you can dig right through his shell.
I like the way he blew up that Gauss the first time I see him, though. Just straight up fireball, boom, exploded all over the place.
You think he would have taken that direct action a little more seriously as Guardian? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, just wait a second, lead them to how far away they are, Coriolis effect, all that stuff. I'm like, one or two more would have been fine.
Yeah. Poor Gamera gets shot down by some military fighters. He's on his back.
Not a great place to be for a turtle. It was my first thought. Place to be. Yeah. I just want to see the guy in the suit start going, just sort of rocket trying to get him up.
But the girl, Asagi, tells him to move, and she's able to, he's able to jet out of there, flying on his back for a minute, which is kind of cool. Of course, pollution. You got to have pollution is a factor in these movies because, Godzilla versus the Smog Monster was all about pollution.
That would be my phone ringing.
Oh.
Sorry.
So what they needed, because there was the self-defense force in this movie. What they needed in this movie was the Super X2.
Because it always works out, right? Having the Super X2.
David, if you haven't watched any Return of the Godzilla and Godzilla vs. Biollante, there's this really ineffective government sort of vessel that shoots ineffective weapons at the giant monster. But they could have used it in this one because it moves really slow.
Though, the great thing is that these guys actually got some effect out of their weapons. They actually had some things that really did some damage and messed some stuff up. Whatever they're using to fight Godzilla with, the Gamera guys brought their A game. They took care of some things.
None of those useless like maser cannons, the little the stuff that shoots the little white, the sort of lasers at Godzilla that he's just like, whatever.
Yeah, as soon as you see the maser cannon, it's like, all right, cool, he's going to step on those, and then they won't be here anymore.
The interesting thing I like is how many they're not afraid to show people dying in this movie where he picks up the train car, people are falling out, people are getting eaten. There's some severe effects on people in this movie.
Well, that's what I was laughing earlier. I'm watching it. I mean, it's in the background right now, and the people are running down the street, and then the train falls on them.
Yeah. Or Gaius basically just had a Happy Meal. He just took a whole train full of folks and flew off.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it was a boxed lunch for him.
all he left behind was that sick Walkman.
Yes. Finally, we get the big showdown. Though you got Gamera versus Gauss in the heart of the city. They accidentally blow up the Tokyo Tower with some missiles, and Gauss is, the giant Gauss is nesting there. Gamera bursts up, thrown from underneath from under the underground, and then we get a nice little battle, including flying all the way up into orbit. You get to see the reentry. It's done really, really well. Some really good explosions, like when the refinery explodes, in Gamera standing looking all badass, and all the stuff is exploding behind him. That's art.
I'm watching the final showdown right now.
Somebody had to set that all up. Make those explosions look good in scale with the guy in a suit.
Although his little flippery claws look like they're going to do way more damage than Godzilla. But I mean, if I was another kaiju and I saw him kind of walking at me like with his flippers out like that, I don't know if I'd be. And he's not going to be able to bite you because those giant ass teeth are going to get in the way. He can't get those hooked on you. You're fine.
Yeah. In Gamera versus Legion and Gamera versus Iris, he has another ultimate weapon where he shoots a beam out of the center of his shell, the front shell, kind of like Tony Stark, like Iron Man. He shoots this mega weapon out and melts the other bad guy in the other two movies, and it's pretty cool. But he just doesn't, he doesn't do it in this movie because Gauss is a bitch, and he just manages to blow him up the normal way. Gamera was bleeding though, man. His green blood was all over the place.
Every time we bled, the little girl bled.
Yeah, that's why the psychic connection. Poor Sagi, she's a
yeah, psychic connection. Dave can't believe he didn't pick that up. He didn't notice.
It's like a voodoo doll.
Her little comma would start to go, or apostrophe, depending on how high it up it is.
But right now her head hurts because they're falling from space back into Earth, and they're in the helicopter.
Her head hurts because she knows her dad is lying and telling people he was in the CIA. Those are called skippies because he goes skip, 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 skip. Tom Segura. If you haven't heard it, you need to look it up and listen to it.
The thing I love, and this is the total kid fantasy, is that a giant monster would want to be controlled by you, or you get to fly on the back of Gamera, or control Gamera, or my favorite was Johnny Sacco and his flying robot, where you had a watch and you could tell giant robot to punch and do all the other cool stuff. That was just some prime kid fantasy stuff.
I'm gonna just say for myself, and probably for Dave too, that as a kid, that was not what I fantasized about.
Nope.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Well, for 7 or 8-year-old me, that's what I fantasized about. I love me some giant monster movies, man. That to me is kind of the essence of the podcast when we talk about Godzilla movies and movies like this. That was my favorite thing ever as a kid, to know that there was a giant monster movie coming up, and to be able to sit and watch those and just enjoy the hell out of them and feel just, to get in that world. That was my favorite stuff as a kid, and I still appreciate it now, obviously, because I can geek out about it so much. But
I will give my parents this. They did indulge us, because this was a drive-in movie.
mm-hmm.
And I wish I could remember what we saw with it. But man, I just remember popping popcorn and dumping it in a trash bag. So you had a huge bag full of popcorn. Your parents would buy soda at the store and then just flip the car around backwards, and you would all hang out or on the tailgate of the truck and watch this movie.
Mm-hmm. That was fun, man. That was one of the greatest times, is going to see a movie at the drive-in. And I remember we saw like Bruce Lee, The Game of Death at the Apache Twin Drive-In, and somewhere on the other side of the drive-in, they were showing some explicit nudity on the other drive-in. And I kept looking back. My dad kept busting me. I'm not even sure what movie it was, but I just remember lots of chicks in towels, dropping the towels all the time, and there was boobs galore. My dad's like, "Watch your movie." Right this way. I'm like, "Well, look over there, yeah, boobs."
But I am watching the movie, Dad.
There is a list of top 30 non-Godzilla kaiju movies. And it's definitely not a exhaustive list, but Rodan from 1956 is way up there. I remember seeing that as a kid and just loving it, because you think the monsters are these giant, like almost like caterpillar, like aphid-looking things that are eating the people inside the mine, but it's not. It was actually, they were just food for the gigantic pterodactyl that showed up. Right? Rodan was a good one.
Isn't that plot a little overplayed, though? You think they're the food for the giant aphids, but it turns out pterodactyl.
Yeah. Well, in 1956, it was pretty new. 1958, there's Varan, also known as Varan the Unbelievable. And that was another Toho kaiju movie. Mothra is number 3. I love King Kong Escapes. Do you remember King Kong Escapes, where they made this mechanical King Kong, and his job was to tunnel for this evil doctor. So you see this mechanical King Kong, and he's tunneling, and then they capture King Kong, and Mechanic Kong and King Kong fight, and they have a lot of voiceovers from cartoons, and just it's a fun one. It was a joint Toho and another Rankin. I think Rankin and Bass was the other people that helped produce it, but that's a really fun one. 1967 King Kong.
Varan the Unbelievable has some like flying squirrel kind of vibes. He's got like some weird thing.
Yeah, he does kind of have the little. Yeah, it does look like a. That's funny. Mothra, King Kong Escapes, The Mysterians. That's where Mogura comes from. That's another Toho one. Battle in Outer Space, War in Space, Gamera the Giant Monster, Gamera versus Baragon, Gamera versus Gaios. So all the Gamera movies are in there. Frankenstein versus Baragon is hilarious. It is a Japanese guy with a Frankenstein appliance on his head, and it's yeah, because that was who Godzilla was supposed to fight in the sequel, but it's Frankenstein versus Baragon. It's really, really funny if you look at the way he looks. Look at the Internet Movie Database. There's this picture of him, and he's fighting Baragon. He's like hugging him, and he's got some jacked up teeth.
Is it on the poster? Let me look.
Frankenstein. It was called Frankenstein Conquers the World in the United States.
Oh yeah, we've looked this one up before. I remember this.
Yeah, but the sequel of it was Frankenstein versus Frankenstein Conquers the World was the War of the Gargantuas, which scared the shit out of me as a kid, because there was the green Gargantua and the brown Gargantua. The brown Gargantua was good. The green one was bad. And I just remember the green one picking up a lady and it looks like a doll, but then you realize he ate her, and they didn't really show that much. And I was not used to kaiju eating people in movies. That one was a distinct one. Gappa the Triferian Monster, Gorgo, Reptilicus, the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, It Came Beneath the Sea, The People That Time Forgot. Yeah, so many really, really good ones. There's this one called Daimogen. It's about this stone statue that comes to life because of a curse, and that's a Daiei one, and it's pretty cool. It's like a stone samurai-looking statue.
Oh yeah,
Comes to life.
Daimogen. Yeah, because Jin means person, but Dai, and then Ma would have to see the characters. Because Dai can mean large. It can mean a couple different things.
Very cool. Thank you, Neil.
Welcome.
Thanks, Neil.
Welcome again.
Well, it was Gamera, Guardian of the Universe. Pretty good. Check it out. The other two are actually probably better. Gamera versus Legion and Gamera Revenge of Iris. We maybe do those next year for Monster March, or if maybe later. But this one is definitely a must-see. If you are not familiar with Gamera, please skip all the 60s ones. They're pathetic, especially the 1980 one called Gamera Super Monster. It is just like a clip show put together, and it is really, really, really bad. Really bad.
This is not a kaiju movie to be set aside lightly.
Yes. So check out Gamera Guardian of the Universe. If you want, hit us up and send us an email, rvspodcast222@gmail.com. We will read your email on the air. If you want to send us a text, go to the Buzzsprout page. You can send us a direct text as well. We are on Facebook. We are on Blue Sky, not as much. I forget to do Blue Sky a lot, but we are on Instagram. And we are on YouTube. We have a YouTube page. I haven't updated what. You can check out the podcast, always gets updated. But I did a Retro Video Store best of horror movie trailers playlist on YouTube if you want to check that out. So there are ways to get a hold of us.
People are shutting off the podcast right now and zipping right over to watch that.
Let's go YouTube, yes. So next week we are doing Anaconda. So if you want to see some bad CGI snakes, next week is for you. With Jennifer Lopez and Ice Cube and John Voight being a pervert.
Well, I know, a lot of trivia about that movie because I absolutely know that those anacondas don't want none.
They want
unless you got buns on. I for a fact 100% know that.
You can do side bends or sit up.
You know what the interesting thing about most teeth are? Most teeth, other than snakes, the fangs, most of their teeth are little nubby things like this, little nubby teeth. Yeah. I want to bring that back. I'm going to start doing the nubby teeth again. I think we need more nubby teeth.
All right. Anything to say, David?
It's going to be really hard to watch. Well, I'm going to love watching Anaconda because I thought it's such a fun movie, but not see Jennifer Lopez and not hear taco flavored kisses from
South Park.
Yeah,
I need taco kisses. It'd be so great.
Yeah, so I'm glad to be back.
This chair is extra squeaky today. Sorry.
Yeah, that
glad
was the
to be
chair.
back.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, glad you're back, David. Hopefully, Elon won't hear this and do his thing.
What if he's one of our 4 listeners? He's like, son of a bitch. Just pounding on a table.
He's like, he's at like a podium and he's like, I must salute the retro video star.
My heart goes out to the retro video store.
Yeah. That'd be scary. Neil, how about you?
What do you call a perfume created by a billionaire?
Elon Musk?
Elon's Musk.
Yeah.
What happens when you stretch a billionaire?
I don't know.
He gets elongated.
Elongated. Great. Hold on.
What do you call a billionaire sitting all by himself? Elon Musk.
Elon. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Have a good week.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Retro Video Store Podcast.